3, 2, 1. Welcome to Strong Personalities. This is your host, Yanni Bear. Today, I have Seth Soukup, fresh off a competing at the Siberian Power Show 2025. Seth, welcome back to the States. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it was a crazy experience.
I bet, man. Okay, so I heard it's a little bit of a whirlwind. Because thank you to the 580 Barbell Club. I did take a listen to their interview, which was before you went out there. So I heard a little bit about how what it took to get you over there. But can you reshare with our viewers what it took to get you to the Siberian Power Show?
Yeah, so I mean, I can start from do you want me to start from the invite or just the travel?
Yeah, because I know you talked about in one of your Instagram posts that you'd only had 4 weeks to prep. So
yeah. So
short notice, and this is in Russia.
Yes. So I got a notice 4 weeks out, and they were like, do you have your passport? And are you interested in doing the show? And I got this message at 6 in the morning. Well, I got at 6 in the morning, but they sent it to me 4 in the morning. And I was like, yes, I have my passport. And yeah, let's go. I said that. I rolled out of bed. I showed it to Olivia. I was like, all right, I'm going.
You didn't even ask her. You're like, babe, sorry, gotta go to Russia.
I mean, we talked about it, but yeah. And then I was like, all right, find out as much as you can about this show. She's like, Seth, the website's in Russian.
Yeah. So when I was doing research for this interview and I was looking up at the stream, and I was looking at the photographers because I was looking at a picture for the YouTube thumbnail for this. I was like, it was the first time I've had to hit translate page as often as I did today. So okay, so you tell Olivia, hey, we're going to who broke the news to you that you were invited?
So so Alex Jose reached out and said, are you interested? And I said yes, because he had been I'm not sure how he communicated with Matt, because Matt was the promoter. And I was like, yeah, I told him I was interested. And he goes, well, be prepared for Matt's going to reach out to you. So Matt reached out to me, I think a day later, and was like, we'd like to invite you. I want to get you on a call. And so from there, it was pretty much 100% go. But we had to get a visa, which took 4 weeks. I got it the evening before I left. And I left. I mean, I think it was 12 hours or something before I got the visa, before I left, in my hands.
And just to clarify, this is Matt Rhodes, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I was just making sure that we gave him credit because he did a great job with the whole show and everything. But before we get to that point, so you get the visa the evening before you have to travel. What was traveling to Russia? Because this is easily the farthest competition you've ever had to travel to.
Honestly, it was horrible. It was horrible. Everything, just nothing went quite right.
Okay.
The travel was, just getting to Turkey was a nightmare. Just the planes were all small. There's pretty much everything as you expect for a large strongman. But yeah, that was expected. And then I get to Russia and none of the cards are working that were supposed to work in Russia. I went to the bank and we set up a card for Russia and it's not working. So I didn't have any money. Okay. Because initially I was like, okay, if I get 6, I want to get mid-pack, with a 4-week prep, let's try and get 6th place. And then when I couldn't get any water for a day and a half, I was like, let's survive. Let's just not get injured at this point.
Yeah, very true. Yep.
Then luckily I did, but I never really felt terrible. I was able to get water eventually, and I was able to get some food. And then had a 10-hour layover in St. Petersburg once I got into Russia. So that wasn't very fun. I finally got to Krasnoyarsk, and once I got there, everything was taken care of. I had food, water, and everything I needed. So that I was able to eat. Pretty much I ate as much as I could until we competed about 2 hours before. I ate an ungodly amount of food. which normally I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
Before show, but I would have so underfed. And honestly, I felt great. Like I felt really, really good.
Well, based on your performance, it looks like it worked out for you. Did you travel with anybody, or was it just you by yourself?
No, it was alone. I wanted Alec to come. I really wanted Alec to come, but it just didn't work out. Like it was going to be so expensive to get him over, and I was just like, I'll just do it.
Now, so 4 weeks before, you get the call, 6 a.m., you yell in excitement to Olivia, I'm going to Russia.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Tell me a few of the – go ahead.
Well, aside from this is exactly a year before when the show went on, I told Olivia, I said, I want to do this show. The Siberian Power Show. Last year.
So you had planted the seed.
Well, I mean, I just said it out loud. I just told her. I was like, this show would be cool. I want to do it. I just told her. And then a year later, I'm doing it. It was kind of
Olivia with her memory, she's like, well, he did say he wanted to do it, so it's not like just a surprise. So I know she's usually there with you at competitions. Usually you have Colton there, who's your coach, also there at competitions. What was it like being at such a big show without your usual support system, like your brother, Colton, your wife, and your kiddo? Who peeled your oranges?
Yeah, I know.
That's what
I had to peel my own. It's such a shame.
So what was that like, man?
It wasn't too bad. Like, I don't know. I was just having fun. Like the guys were great, just having a good time. And once I realized I felt good, like my body felt good. I was warming up for deadlift. I was just like, I'm just gonna have fun. Like I was just soaking the moment in. I just had a blast doing it. I don't know. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever to go walk out in Russia with the American flag. Like that's pretty cool.
It was like a Rocky IV moment for you.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I was just having fun.
No, I love it. So one of the things I noticed is you just mentioned that walk up with the flag and everything. Like you were happy, and then you were standing there, and then you're not small, right? By the way, you're what, 6 foot, 6'1", and
a little over,
Okay. What was cracking me up is that you walk up, and the person to your left is Thor.
Yes.
And you give him a fist bump, and you smile, and you just kind of stand, and you look in front of you. And this is probably one of the biggest productions I've ever seen for a fitness show. Like this looked even bigger than the Arnold. This looked bigger than the Olympia. Like the cameras, the amount of people in the audience. That I saw you turn around after you gave Thor the fist bump initially, and you just kind of went like stoic. But was there like a little fear? Was there a little bit of shock of how many people were there?
It was more shock, and like I was just excited. I was super pumped that there was a lot of people. I love competing in front of crowds. I've always liked that. Like
that was a heck of a crowd. That crowd was
huge. I was shocked. I think that was the biggest thing. I couldn't believe how many people were there for the deadlift. It had 100%. To be over 1,000. It had to be close to 2,000.
Easily, because like every time they would pan to the audience, I was like, everybody's still there. I figured it was going to be like the opening ceremony, and then like people would disperse or something. No, people were there. They were watching.
Yeah,
but then you look like. Go ahead.
We were the main event for that night, pretty much.
And you could feel it, and you could see it as a production value.
Oh yeah.
So you walk up, and then the other reason I laughed was because I showed you some of my ideas for the YouTube thumbnail, right? And then one of them was Among Giants, because even though you are 6'1", 353 pounds, you looked, now that you're next to all like the world's strongest men, because you had like the strongest man in Canada, the strongest man from Poland, the strongest man from Iran. You had like Thor, you had Mateusz. Like you looked, I feel like the comparison for your size is what's his name? He won the World's Strongest Man in 2020.
Was it Kieliszkowski?
What's his name? He's from Ukraine.
Yeah, it wasn't Kieliszkowski.
No, that sounds Nico. Either way, That's the size comparison.
Yeah,
That's what you look like. But then I laughed even more because if you look at the picture that I have, you're actually on the deadlift platform. So even with an extra inch with the deadlift platform, all these guys are just massive.
Oh yeah. Like Australian strongman, Jordy, he's huge. Frederick, Swedish strongman, he's a massive human. Yeah.
Was there any shock for you, or what emotions did you have when you started seeing some of these athletes that you've been following? I know one of them, it was like your favorite deadlifter growing up. Was there what emotions did you have seeing all these athletes in person and knowing that you're going to be competing against them?
I was more nervous until the rules meeting, and then you just kind of listen to them and hear them, and everyone's just human. Like, I mean, I don't know. They are larger than life on like social media and stuff, but they're just people at the end of the day, and anyone can be beaten.
Was there a language barrier at the competition with either the athletes, the show runners, or anything like that?
Not with the show runners really at all. No.
Okay.
But with the athletes, some like the Russian guys, some, but I mean, we used Google Translate and they knew like half our language, so it was fine. And then, I love that. Like a lot of the other guys, like Frederick, he could speak English fine. Pretty much everyone else could. So
that's good.
Pretty much the only one that you really couldn't communicate at all was the Iranians. Couldn't talk to him at all, really.
Man, he had his legs wrapped. Like I've never seen somebody with a full leg wrap.
I'm not sure, but there's something wrong. I don't know. He didn't look good there, and he didn't perform well, and I don't think he felt good, and he didn't look good. So I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, he was the first person I've ever seen do the clean and then uppercuts the bar to get it up on his shoulder. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, there was a Russian athlete that was doing that, doing the zombie cling.
Yeah.
And he did it successfully. He got 2 or 3 reps that way.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking, but I remember seeing somebody. I think I just mixed them together.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're there. You don't have your normal support system, but you're still having a blast. You're eating to your heart's content. We get to the opening ceremony, and now let's go over the events. All right, so you had 5 events. The first one was the max deadlift, followed by the dumbbell ladder, the sandbag toss, the actual clean and press, with no belt cleans allowed. Yeah. The medley, which was pretty cool, seeing all the different items that they had for that, and then the stone to shoulder. So with the max, real quick, what was your expectation for what you were capable of doing on this floor?
Oh, like just overall?
Yeah, just overall. Like, what did you? Go ahead.
I thought 6th place was reasonable. I thought I could get mid-pack.
Okay.
But after the deadlift, I was like, there might be more. I might be able to get higher.
So speaking of deadlifts, you were one of, 4 athletes that hit 390 kilos. Was there more in the tank? Did you regret not trying to go heavier, starting heavier early on?
Well, so yes, there was more in the tank, but the next jump was like 900 or 910. And that was a little bit too big of a jump. I think 880 was there, but that wasn't an option. And so it was like in the back, like before I left, Colby had decided that we would try to get a 20-pound PR and hit 860. But in warm-ups, I was like, there's more than 860. But I was like, is there 900? And I decided, I was like, I don't think there's 900. And so I was like, I'll just stick to the plan. That's what we already decided. I don't want to overthink it. We'll just go with it. But if there was 880, I would have taken it.
Yeah, because it was 20 kilo jumps.
Yeah.
So it was 390 to 410, but then obviously in American units, we're looking at what you hit was the 390, which was 860 or 858 to be exact. And then obviously jumping to 410, that is the 900-pound mark. So that would have been an awesome PR to hit on that stage. Were you surprised how high you were on the deadlift?
Yes, I was, because Frederick in training looked amazing on the deadlift, and so did a couple of the other guys. I thought for sure they'd hit him, but they didn't even get close.
Yeah, because you tied with Osborne, Johansson, and then Shivlakov.
Yeah. Shivlakov, like I expected him to be in that 860, 900 range. He was the closest one, I believe, to get that 900. It just wasn't quite there.
And then the opening was 330 kilos.
Yes.
That's
well,
wild.
you could choose because you have 3 attempts.
Oh, but the minimum weight you had to choose
330, yeah. But you could pick. You have 3 attempts. Yeah.
Woo! Okay, so any other notes for the deadlift ladder before we move on to the next one?
No, I mean it was awesome to hit a PR in Russia. Like that was cool.
Yeah. Did you pick up any I don't know, any little nuggets of wisdom from the other athletes on like the deadlift or just throughout the event that they were just like, oh, at these kind of events, look out for this, and this, or, keep I know adrenaline control is a big one that I've heard from a lot of big strongman names. Yeah.
That I got good at that early on. That the stuff I learned was more later on in the show. The deadlift is pretty simple. Like it was cut and dry. Like I knew what I was doing on that. The stuff I learned was later on in the show that actually JF was a huge help.
Was what was it? Jeff Cron? Was he the?
He was the judge. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool was that to have him as a judge?
Oh, it was awesome. It was amazing. He's a great judge. Yeah.
Good. Was he pretty consistent from what I saw?
Yeah, for the most part, I would say about 98% was right on the point.
That's really high. I love that. And then he was the judge the entire time for you.
Yes. He was judge for everyone. There was no one else. So like it was extremely consistent.
You got to love the consistency there. So big props to Matt Rhodes and his team on putting that together. Next thing we go is into the dumbbell ladder. Again, on your earlier interview, you said that this was going to be one of the events that you thought you could make some noise on. So out of the 12 athletes, you actually ended up in third?
Yeah. I ended up in third, yeah.
Because you got 3 of the dumbbells and I believe you got up to 125 kilos or 120?
120. Well, it was 267, so I think it's 120.
Yeah. You fell to 130 kilo.
Yes,
but,
I fell that.
But you know what's crazy? It's just like the time difference between you and Mateusz was 9 seconds on that third one.
Yeah. I purposely took it slower because the dumbbells were different. I've never pressed on a Sears dumbbell before.
Really?
Very different. The heads are real small, so it's really kind of like compact to your shoulder. So it's just a lot different. So I was like, I knew 3 was going to be really good points. So I was like, I'm going to be consistent and I'll take my time on it.
And I feel like these first 2 events are probably like for you, some of the best events to just get a competition started.
Yeah. No, they're pretty good. Yeah. That 130 I think I could have pressed it, but the cling was just off. I didn't feel, it just felt awkward. And like, I just wasn't used to clinging that type of dumbbell.
Yeah. So that would have been 286 pounds. And I know Circus Dumbbell, it's a really strong event for you. And I saw you kind of like thinking about it on the 130, and then you were just like, nah, I'm just going to call it.
Because I attempted it twice, and it just wasn't going.
Yeah. So you said the clean was the harder part, or was it the
clean was the harder part for me?
A lot of the athletes I was surprised how many of them struggled with this Circus Dumbbell. Because for me, like having you, I'm around like people like DJ Doggett that hit those 200+ pound Circus dumbbells. Like that made a big difference for the athletes that if they've never touched it, then they didn't adjust very well.
Well, yeah, there's those Sears dumbbells. There were some great dumbbell pressers. I mean, Jordy's the Australian record holder for the dumbbell. He's got the Australian record, and he just did not do well at all. Those Sears dumbbells are so different than a normal dumbbell.
How did it feel? I know pressing hasn't been his strongest for Thor. How'd that feel to see look up at the score and see that you beat him?
It was weird. Like going into it, I actually thought I could beat him on this event. Like if you ask me as a guy, I can beat him. It's still weird to beat Thor on an event.
I bet because like deadlift, I remember like seeing that one. I was like, okay, so everybody's fighting for second.
Yeah. Well, everyone knew we were fighting for second. No one had any delusions that we were going to compete with Thor. Like I'm not there yet.
His max is still like y'all's max is still kind of like one of his warm-ups now, which is
literally
crazy. So, and then being so close to like a Mateusz, which is so fun to see him consistently healthy now for like the last year. How did he look to you?
I mean, he looked in amazing shape.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. He was in incredible shape. An awesome guy to compete with.
Did you, I noticed that with all the athletes, there's a lot of like different shapes and sizes, but I've noticed that this is probably one of the leanest lineups I've ever seen for a competition. I didn't see like any big belly or anything like that for that you know, associate World's Strongest Man competitions with or anything like that.
Yeah, no, everyone's in good shape. Well, and the Russians are all a little bit smaller, just incredible shape. Great movers, great dumbbell pressers. So, and they were half the lineup. So they're just not, none of them are like, I mean, the tallest one might be like 6'3". They're not like monsters like some of the other guys, but.
Might just be a us over here thing. Okay, so up next, which was the third event, and this was the third event for day one, and this concluded day one, is your nemesis, the sandbag toss. What happened? Well, you were only able to get so sorry, I'm looking this up, sorry, real quick. You were only able to get two bags. This was your work placing. Yeah.
So I'm just bad at the event. That's one problem. And like I can come up with like little excuses and stuff, but I'm just terrible at it and need to get better. One thing that really hurt me on it is when I went to throw that third bag, my calf just seized, like completely locked up. It was crammed just terribly. So I was throwing with one leg. And when I'm already bad at the event, it just wasn't, it was extremely frustrating.
Okay, good. I'm glad you said that because I was watching it and in my head, I was like, fourth bag. I thought you would get to the fourth bag.
That was the goal. I wanted 4 fast. And in training, I had gotten them. And I could hit that fifth maybe. But when you're not good at an event and then your calf seizes up, it wasn't happening.
Yeah, because even again, like I think we were talking before we jumped on here. I think me and you go back to, I think the first show I really remember interacting with you was the Oklahoma Strongest.
Yeah, and I lost that show because of the bag.
And I remember like one of the shots for that video, that competition video was just watching as you kept failing one of the bags. And then there's this sweet moment where it's like you and Alex just trying to talk to you and everything like that. And you're beating yourself up. And then in my head, I was like, this guy's going to work so hard on the sandbag and he's going to be one of the best in like no time. And then now we're here, 3 years later, 2 years later, and it's still your nemesis. What about it makes it? Because like you can deadlift, 860 pounds, but then these sandbags, little sandbags just.
So I think some of it I'm warming up too much. So when I go out there, like I'm overcompensating by warming up, making sure and because I talked to JF about it and he's like, well, I watched it and he gave me some pointers on the throwing tips about it. And then also he's like, you're throwing too much before you go. So you're burnt out when you do go. And I feel that a lot. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So that might be part of it. I've worked on it a lot, and it is better than 2 years ago. It is better. It's just not a lot better because the problem is like I've gotten better, but the shows I'm doing are significantly higher levels. So it's like like the numbers and the height and stuff I'm hitting are better, but it's just the placing hasn't gone up because I'm just competing against better and better people.
True, because I remember watching you at we were doing our little OSG series, and we were at the Death Before Dishonor gym, the Southwest Barbell.
Yeah.
Gym, and then you that was the best I've ever seen you when it comes to sandbags. When it was you and your brother just going back and forth. So there's definitely improvement, but like everybody has their kryptonite. I just find it funny, like when I see somebody as athletic and strong as you that can do all these amazing feats of strength, then it's a little sandbag that.
I also find it hard mentally to get ready for that event.
Really?
Yeah, because it's not anything hard. It's not physically hard.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you give me a 350-pound sandbag and tell me to run back and forth until I collapse, like that's easier for me to get prepared for than the sandbag. Cause it's like, it's not hard. It's like, it feels like a throwaway event to me. Like it's just, for whatever reason, it's hard mentally for me to get into it.
Well, stop throwing it away.
Yeah.
All right. So back to this. So sandbag toss on emotionally, how were you feeling? I know I ask a lot of the feelings question, but
I was frustrated, really frustrated.
Yeah.
I was super annoyed. I wanted to get like 6th place in the event. Like I was annoyed. But I was like, at the time, all I was thinking, I was like, I can beat myself up later about it. I can think about everything I did wrong later. Let's just move on to the next event. Because that was the end of day 1, I believe.
It was.
And I was like, let's get food. Let's just not, I'm not in a horrendous spot, even though I lost my massive lead. Because I was in first by quite a bit at that point.
Yeah, because you had rocked the first 2 events.
Yeah.
No buts. We'll get to that when we look at the point spread, because I feel like you were still the top dog in that second tier group of athletes for the end of the competition. We can look at the points here in a bit, but like you said, you had a big lead, and then obviously the sandbag toss was put in there to humble you by the strongman gods out there. So when you're that far out, was communication still pretty easy to like just call Olivia or call?
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad.
Good.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Did you call them right away, right after that? Right
no,
after,
I think I waited a little bit. No, actually, I did call Olivia, I think, after that and just talked to her about it. And she's always good to talk to after a terrible event.
It's good to have that person, right? Just to help you bring you down from that emotional high or low. So that's good. Did Colton say anything about that?
Yeah, he messaged me and was just like, think about it later. It was like, we got 3 more events to do.
I love that. Next chapter, right?
Yeah.
So day 1, did you get to do anything fun after you were done with your events for day 1?
Yes, we did. They took us out to an awesome restaurant we got to eat some crazy foods. We ate reindeer, moose, and elk and caribou.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they took us to a super nice restaurant. They spoiled us.
They really took care of you. So they took care of like your flight. I saw Matt talk about getting you like paying for the expedited visa, because that's usually supposed to take like 8 weeks or something.
Yep.
And then they took care of all like your food and everything the whole weekend. Too.
All the food. Yeah.
Love that, man. How did it feel to be treated like that?
Really good. Like it was cool. I think I told Colton today, it's the first time I've ever felt like a pro athlete.
Yeah.
We were taking care of like one. And it just showed like they appreciated us going and competing. Like it wasn't like I'm used to like we're paying them for the opportunity to compete. That's what most of the shows are. It's like pay to play pretty much. It's like it felt to be good. It felt good to be on the other side.
Good, man. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. What did you prefer, the reindeer or the moose?
I like the reindeer actually. I thought that was
good.
Yeah.
How much weight did you gain, do you think, from the time you?
Not much. I think I lost so much from the flight.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't eat for a day and a half.
Yeah. Man, I would have, as much as you're talking about. And then like I've heard that reindeer is heavy too. Like the meat is heavy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fills you up quick.
Yeah. We ate so much that night. They just kept bringing food out. I was like, guys, because it wasn't like an order. It was just, they kept bringing it. I was like, this could feed an army.
That was an army.
And it still was like,
all of y'all. Yeah. Did you have any, did you get to like befriend or get to know some of these athletes a little bit better?
Yeah, I got to know all pretty well. I hung out a lot with Frederick and Jordy. Frederick is Sweden's strongest man, and Jordy's Australian strongest man.
Okay. So what time did the show end for you?
Oh goodness,
on Monday. Sorry, on the first day.
6, I think.
How was there like jet lag or anything for you because you had just gotten there, or
no, because I hadn't slept either. So it was nighttime. It was time to sleep. Like, no, it was
So it kind of worked out for you the way you got to travel. Because
Yeah.
it was like straight to competing and then your body adjusted right away. Or
No,
you tired it out enough.
Yeah, I didn't get any jet lag.
No,
but
good.
I haven't ever gotten jet lag on any trips that I've done, so I don't know.
No jet lag for you ever? What's the furthest you've ever had to travel?
I've traveled to St. Lucia, and I don't
Where's
know.
that?
It's in the Caribbean Islands.
Okay. All right. So day one, you had 3 events. You were way up after the first 2 events, and then you moved on to the 3rd event. Now we move on to day 2. What time did day 2 start?
3. It started a little bit later.
Oh, that's nice. Do you prefer that afternoon?
It was really nice. That extra hour was awesome. Able to get some more food, a little bit of rest. Yeah.
All right. So the first event of day 2 was the axle clean and press with those giant like gears, wagon wheel gears.
Yeah.
What was the weight on that?
353.
353 pounds?
Yes.
Again, I'm a little surprised that I didn't see more reps than what I saw at the competition.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. The axle's fixed. That's why.
Oh.
So it's a lot difficult. And like a lot of us, like I had never done a fixed axle. And like for me, it was difficult because I had just started learning how to not belt cling 4 weeks ago. So I used my stomach for the first time. And I actually had never gotten a rep at 350. I hadn't got it in training.
Really?
No. I just trying to learn it that fast. It was just not. It clicked the last week.
And the power of the reindeer and moose meat.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that probably helped.
And I got 2 reps. And there was a 3rd one there, I think, but my pec started bothering me again.
I saw you reach for your
I was
shoulder.
like, do I risk it for the 3rd? And I self stone press, which in training, that's what originally I got tweaked on was the stone press. So I was like, I just decided to call it and not go for that 3rd one.
Yeah, because you got those.
But that's pretty much why everyone suffered.
Gotcha.
And then some people that had trained on the fixed axles, they did great.
So was that like Mateusz and Thor because they were able to knock out 5 reps?
Yeah, and then there was one other Russian who did very well. I think he got 5 reps. I think he matched Thor.
It's D. Shamey?
Yes.
David Shamay.
David,
yeah. So yeah, he got 4 reps, and then so that was good for 2nd place because Thor and Mateusz tied for 1st on that one. Well, technically Mateusz did it faster by 5 seconds. Jeez, it's amazing how fast these guys can move with such heavy weights. And then next is the medley. So you were middle of the pack on the axle clean and press, and then we move on to the medley. And then on the medley, again, you're about middle of the pack. Are these events just not good events for you, or is it just that this kind of came into the strong wheelhouse for the other athletes as well?
No, axle's a great event for me, and it will be a great event for me once I figure out the belt cling or the stomach cling more. And then the moving event is traditionally a great event, but there's a lot of very, very good movers. Like I said, the Russians and Jordy, and the Iranian guy did well in this one. Very, very good movers in this show. Looking back on it, there was a few things I was just a little too cautious with. Like I didn't get to try out the equipment before. Not really. So like I was a little cautious on the giant log to shoulder and stuff. So my time wasn't the fastest that I wanted it to be. I probably should have gotten it a little harder. But yeah. No, I mean, but there was incredible movers at this show. Like really, really good movers.
Question on the medley. You looked really frustrated when you let go of the iron cross. Was it because the times didn't stop until your hands were off?
Yes. No. It didn't. Yeah. But then I had to re-grab it and situate it. It couldn't weeble wobble. So it couldn't move at all. So when I set it down, my hands were off. I had to re-grab it and adjust it and then let go again. Like killed my time.
That cost you like 3 seconds probably?
Yeah. And that caused me like 2 or 3 places. So it would have been mid-pack to that upper.
You would have been there with Osborne, the Australian guy.
Yep.
Jordan Osborne.
Yeah.
Dang, that is wild.
And so it happened to me on the log to shoulder 2. I had to re-stabilize it.
Oh,
so that was kind of annoying.
I was wondering why people were doing. I thought y'all were just being nice.
No, they wanted to protect equipment, which I understand that, but at the same time, it's like it shouldn't cause like, I don't know, like your places shouldn't be at how well you can set a piece of equipment down.
Well, I mean, if it's like I kind of understand from the promoter side, because if it's the only one you have, like you want to protect it, which I think
get it.
I
get it on that point too. Yeah,
I've never seen that before. That log thing with the rope tied around it.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen it before. The other one, I was like stone, whatever, the iron cross, whatever, and then what was it? The yoke. Well, there was a yoke in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah. And I was like, okay, those you probably have backups, right? But then that log one, I was like, oh, because there was like a dent in it after the first guy.
Yeah.
That one looks so fun, actually. The medley looks fun.
It was a blast. I would love to get my hands on it again because I know I could improve my time a ton. So
I think this is one of the events where your height difference compared to the other guys came in. Because like once you picked things up, you were fine, but I think you had to work extra hard to grip because your hands were like this. Some of those other guys were like hugging it with their arms crossed around.
Yeah, because they just had such
Yeah, because they're so huge. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about how you did on that one? I know you were frustrated about.
I wasn't too upset because I didn't have like a bad performance on any piece of equipment. I would have liked to have gone again, and I could have had a few things changed and had faster. But at the end of the day, I did what I could. Like that's. I mean, it was the first time touching a lot of that stuff, so I did what I could. And now for next time, if I run into that stuff again, I know what to change. But so I wasn't too upset.
It's crazy to see somebody like you that I know being only 8 seconds behind or beating somebody like Thor in events like this. How has this competition changed your mindset when it comes to your place in the strongman competitive community? Did it improve it? Is it about where you were expecting to be? Tell me about that.
They improved it. So on certain events, I can compete with anyone. It made me realize that and I knew this before, but like you see in person, you see it. Like I have to improve certain events.
Okay.
Like certain events have to get better to be able to compete at the upper echelon. But there are certain events that I can hang with anyone.
Which ones fall under the category of give me your best 3 and then the worst 3 that are still holding you back?
I think most presses I can hang with anyone. And then especially with the dumbbell moving events, I can hang with anyone. Especially yoke and stuff like that. But the ones that are holding back, deadlift is still, even though I place well in this event, realistically, if you don't you need at least a 900-pound deadlift. If you don't have a 900-pound deadlift and you go to the Arnold or the Shaw, you're getting smoked.
I'm trying to think if there's any bad deadlifters that consistently do really well at those top levels.
No,
yeah.
I think Mateusz is probably the only one.
How bad? What's his?
815 is what he pulled.
Oh wow, that is low for a world's strongest man. Well, do you think that's due to injuries?
So good at everything else.
Okay. Whew, that's crazy. So you said deadlift. What other events are holding you back to take that next big step?
Sandbag throw. And my grip could always be better.
Really, your grip? I feel like if you're a good deadlifter, you have good grip.
My grip's it's okay. It's not good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're knocking out all these events, and we're down to the final one, which was the stone to shoulder. Let me pull that one up. And again, if anybody's wondering, I'm looking up at all these results at strongmanarchives.com. So make sure you go check out their page. So for this one, you ended up in third. or tied for third.
Yeah.
You got 2 reps. But you mentioned earlier that during training, it irritated your pec.
Yeah.
So what was the mental process when it came to coming to the stone to shoulder, and then how hard were you pushing it since it was the last event?
I gave it everything I had. In my mindset was just 1 rep. Let's just get 1. I really didn't think 2 was there because I've never done a natural stone to shoulder ever. Because what bothered it was the stone press. I have a steel block. That's what originally hurt my back. But I've never done a natural stone to shoulder. So I just trained with sandbags. And I was like, in warm-ups, I was just messing around with it. And I did end up doing the comp stone for a single. And I was like, okay, I know I'm good for 1. But I don't know if I would have done the comp stone. I didn't know that. I thought it was the warm-up. I thought it was the smaller one, and it wasn't. They're like, that's the comp stone. I was like, well, good to know.
What was the weight on the stone?
370, I think. 365 or 370.
Honestly, I feel like I would rather do that kind of like a stone like that than like a smooth just sphere, like the one that you do for like athlete stones and everything like that.
I agree. I do too.
Better grips. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just thinking like, all right, let's just get 1 out there because my pec was starting to bother me at this point. And I got 1 and I was like, I'm here. Let's just get 1 more. Because the foot, that one went up pretty easily. It went up a lot easier than the warm up. So I was like, it went up pretty good. I know I'm good. I knew I was good for a lot more than 1 more. But when I got that second one up, my pec started really bothering me more so. And so I was just like, let's call it. I think it's good enough for 4th. Like I wasn't getting 3rd at this point.
No, because we'll get to the point difference in a second.
Yeah.
But that I'm glad you took. I'm glad that they also did a good job of keeping you up to date on the scores, because it sounds like you were able to make logical decisions, so that way you didn't get injured or anything like that.
Yeah.
So technically, I think you would have had easily 3 if you didn't have to worry about the pec.
Yeah, I think I could have gone 3, but who knows?
I think you could have. That's so cool, man. I love seeing this for you. Again, I've been watching you compete now for almost 3+ years.
Yeah, I know, it's
been a while. Yeah, you're like, you're still not tired of me. All right, so now let's talk about the overall point finishes, right? So we have Mateusz won it with 64 points. Thor got second with 58. The Russian guy, David, got 57 points. And then you got 4th with 44.5 points. So that is a 12.5 difference. So you're the top dog on that next tier.
Yeah.
But then 5th place, we have Mikhail Shivlyovok. And then we have Valerie Savin in 6th. And then, because between you and Mikhail, y'all are the only ones in the 40s, because then you see another almost 7-point drop into that next tier. So how does it feel being in that second tier at a competition like that?
I'd like to be up at that next level. I mean, that's the goal eventually. Yeah. But
it must feel pretty good that you were that far. Because I was trying to do the math on event 3, and then because even with event 3, if you would have just been middle of the pack, I think it would have been I think you would have cracked the 50-point mark, but I think it would have still been hard to get close to that 57, 58.
I needed to do better on the axle and better on the sandbag.
Yeah, but you couldn't risk that pec though on either one.
Yeah.
So. But man, doesn't it feel good to think like, man, if I only had 4 weeks to prepare, imagine what I could have done if I had an actual invite, early on in the process.
Yeah.
And then how well do you think you could have done? You think you could have cracked that top 3?
I think I could have. I think I could have at least fought for it. It would have been a good fight. That guy, what's his name?
David. David, the one in 3rd?
Yeah, David. Yeah, he's unbelievably good. I think it would have been a good fight. for sure.
And y'all are the young dogs because you're 26, David's 28, and then you got, Thor and Mateusz. They're the veterans. Even though Mateusz might not be as old as I think he is.
He's 31, I believe.
Yeah, he's 31, but he's been doing this for so long.
Yeah,
you know
how many his first pro show was 19.
Do you know how 19?
I believe so, yeah. I believe he did his first Giant live at 19.
Well, I was looking at the number of international contests. Do you know how many? 47. 47
yeah.
International. So that makes sense if he started at 19. With 13 wins. Cheese and crackers. That's so much. But still, it must feel good that you at 26 are still starting to get some, because what is it? You got second at the Arnold. You got 10th at OSG. So you're building some good momentum, and easily the most difficult. I know people are going to probably give me some pushback on this one, but I feel like the super heavyweight division is always going to be consistently the toughest division to compete in, because that's where there's no weight control. There's
no weight control. There's no limiters.
There's no limit. You just got to be strong and go lift.
Yeah.
What's next for Seth Soukup?
I don't know yet. Either for sure OSG I'm doing, and maybe the Shaw.
The Shaw, okay. Am I going to see Southwest Regionals?
No, I don't need to do Southwest Regionals. I said last year, if I have to do another Southwest Regionals, I'm not doing the OSG.
No, that was one of my favorite quotes from the competition from OSG. He's like, I don't have to do Southwest Regionals again. What was it? So how many total days did you spend in Russia?
3, 2.5.
2.5, probably, right?
Yeah, 2.5.
Such a quick trip. Did you do anything fun day 2?
No.
Or the same thing?
There was a banquet. Because we ended later, so that banquet was pretty late.
Okay.
So that banquet was interesting. It was hilarious because everything's in Russian. It felt like I was watching a movie. That.
Did you wear a sleeveless shirt there too?
No.
Oh man. What takeaways do you have from your trip?
I'd like to have a person there next time, I think. And I had a great time. It was super cool experience, super surreal. When you're in, I was just can't actually believe I'm here.
Does this solidify your love for the sport? You're like, yes, I belong here. What I'm working towards is it's happening. And
it made it feel like, okay, it's actually possible maybe someday to make some money out of this sport. And maybe I can actually make it to that next level.
When it comes to the next level, who's in that next step or two that where you're at that you're trying to catch up to? So in my head, I'm thinking, is it somebody like Nick Guardian in Austin?
I would say, but I think they're already at that next level. I mean, you look at Nick Guardian.
No, they are.
Yeah,
are they the next? What you picture is next for you?
Yes, that's where I want to be. Yeah.
What changes are you going to have to make you yourself to get to that next level, or is it just be consistent with what you're already doing with your team?
I think it's being consistent and dial in my sleep even better, dial my food a little bit better, and just keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, it's worked so far. I mean, I made pretty good progress. I don't do anything that stupid unless you consider what I'm doing stupid.
I love how you said that. I don't really do anything that stupid. Olivia, thank you for keeping him out of trouble. I really appreciate you for that. Okay. No, it's true. I don't think I've ever heard you say anything where I'm like, please don't do that.
No, I mean, I've been on a meal plan. I get my sleep, and so just keep doing it and keep trying to improve my training and get better and keep doing what I'm doing. My static lifts have gone up, and my moving events have gotten better. So just keep doing it and definitely get better at sandbags.
Whatchamacallit. What about I know we talked about the new gym owners for y'all.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes that y'all are seeing at your gym that you're excited about? And when are y'all going to host a freaking strongman competition? Because I feel like y'all would.
Well, I've been bugging them too. I think they might towards the end of this year. We'll see. But no, the changes they've made are like they're just the building's cleaner. They got AC finally.
It's going to make the summer workouts a lot easier.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's going to make life so much easier. Because I'm losing like 8-10 pounds of water while drinking like a gallon of fluid. So I'm just losing an insane amount of fluid just training there. So that's going to be nice in the summer.
Before we head out, are there any shout outs? I don't know. Like are you sponsored by anybody?
No,
not yet. Not yet. I'm pretty sure after your results now, you're going to start getting some attention. And then we talked about your future competitions. Do you have any shout outs for anybody? I'm
very appreciative of Colton Rhodes. Like he's a fantastic coach and a good friend, like a very good friend. And my brother, Alex Soukup, like he's the best training partner he could ask for.
Yeah, because you and Colton were the ones who started kind of like the strongman movement at the Brewhouse Barbell, right?
Yeah. I mean, I approached him and was like, I approached him to coach me. And then from there, Alex started and everyone else kind of jumped in after that.
That's gotta feel good leading the way on something like that. All right, Seth, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about the Siberian Power Show. I know that was a whirlwind, but it's such a fun whirlwind. You got to eat reindeer, eat moose, compete with people like Mateusz and Thor, and then some of your close friends like Jordan from Australia. I know we'll be seeing you at more competitions based on your results. You did finish 4th out of 12, even beating some big names in some 2 events. I think you beat Thor in 2 events. So stay healthy. Make sure that Olivia keeps you out of trouble. And then I hope to see you soon again, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
See you, bud.
See you later.